Women on TikTok start to go absolutely crazy. I decide to start venting my anger by throwing ice into a bathtub, and it is time to call evil, evil, no matter what happens. Enjoy the episode. So if you didn't know, I had surgery recently, and I would show you the scars, but I don't want to scar you, so I'll save that for another time. But with the whole surgery situation, I've been off for a few weeks of work, and so I've been at home watching TV, watching movies, and being on X a lot. And for a long time, there's been this trope in different movies and TV shows that honestly makes me a little bit crazy. And that is the idea that the villain in the movie actually isn't evil, they're just misunderstood. Now, there is a lot of examples of this. One of my favorite ones is the Cruella de Vil movie, where the premise is basically, well, Cruella de Vil isn't really evil. She didn't steal the puppies and kill the puppies because she was evil. It was because her mom didn't treat her right. That's why she was evil. And then there's this new recent Netflix movie that just came out. It's called The Last House, which is a very good movie. And I hope that you go and watch it because I enjoyed it a lot. Still, somehow, even though I like this movie, it had the same exact trope. Oh! Don't hurt the monsters that locked you in your house and killed your neighbors and killed a bunch of people. Maybe if we just let them go and let them be free, then they'll like us. And in that movie, it actually works, and the monsters let the family go free. Because all that it was just a little misunderstanding, and if you just have a little bit of kindness towards people, then everything just goes away, and that's not how the real world works. Now, this trope has infiltrated our society into believing, just like in the movies, that instead of calling out evil that is causing harm in our society, and this leads us to talk about the Lindsay Clancy case, which has taken TikTok and social media by storm. As according to all of the reports that I have read, Lindsay Clancy lured her 3 kids, ages 5, 3, and 8 months old, to the basement, where, according once again to the report, she strangled them one by one with an exercise band. Now, this story is an absolute tragedy, and it disturbed me a lot. I didn't want to see anything on social media about it. I didn't want to see more articles about it because it just made me sad, and I decided that this really wasn't a Docket type of story. Then I started to see something happen, as there are women on TikTok that are actually defending this Lindsay Clancy girl, the one who killed her kids. And of course, they have some crazy conspiracy theories. Thank goodness the Jews aren't involved. Praise the Lord. But anyway, some of these theories are absolutely stupid, like her astrology sign was a Leo sun and an Aries moon, and a Leo sun and an Aries moon don't murder people. While Patrick Clancy, her husband, is a Gemini, which means that he was the one that did it because usually Geminis kill people, which makes no sense at all. Along with that, we also have another theory that Patrick Clancy's new girlfriend looked a lot like Lindsay Clancy. And in one of her testimonies, Lindsay said that it felt like she was watching someone else strangle her own kids. Well, if Lindsay and the new girlfriend look alike, then that means that the new girlfriend could have been killing the kids while Lindsay watched. Because, you know, she wouldn't try and stop her or anything. So it had to be the girlfriend or the husband, even though we know from sources that the husband was actually away as he decided to go out and get medicine for his daughter, also get takeout food for his family. And then he comes home to an absolute nightmare. His wife fallen out of a window, bleeding, laying on the ground, almost unconscious. He asks her, what happened? Where are the kids at? She tells him the basement. So he races into the house, he goes downstairs, where he finds probably one of the most horrific things anyone has ever seen in their lives. His 3 young children strangled to death, with the 8-month-old little baby clinging onto life, where he eventually passed away a few days later. And these TikTokers will ask, well, why was Patrick's DNA on the exercise bands, huh? Why was it on the exercise bands? Because he was the one that had to remove the exercise bands from the kids' neck. And it was also reported that the 911 call from Patrick is so traumatic that they're not releasing it to the public. Honestly, it makes me sick that people are going after this guy even though he didn't do anything wrong. Now, Lindsay's defense isn't saying that she didn't do it. They're saying that she did it, but they want to know why. Why did she do this? And they're claiming that she did this because she was under postpartum psychosis. This means that she couldn't stop herself because maybe she was hearing voices from different medications that she was taking, or because she was so depressed from the postpartum that it caused her to do this in a state where she wasn't actually in her full state of mind. Now, this right here, this theory makes more sense to talk about. We can talk about this. We can be reasonable human beings, not talking about astrological signs, but we can ask questions like, why did she have so many medications and why weren't those medications working? And it seems from the story that Lindsay and also all of her family tried so hard to get her better. And these TikTok moms were claiming that Patrick Clancy was leaving her and being abusive and being absent, and I don't think that's true. Apparently, the family hired a nanny to help Lindsay with the kids. Patrick also decided that he was going to start working from home to help around the house. And also, we can see from the constant medical records that they were trying to find the right dosage of medicine for her so then she could be happy, so then she could get out of this dark spot that she was going through. And Patrick even said in a recent interview that he didn't marry a monster, he married someone that was sick. And you can tell that the family tried really hard to get her better and out of this situation. Because postpartum can be bad. Postpartum can cause a lot of different issues for women. They can have a wide range of emotions: depression, mood swings, excessive worrying, panic, and restlessness. It's a terrible thing, and I hope and pray that any woman that's going through it can find the strength to get out of that situation. This doesn't mean, however, that you get a get out of jail free card for killing your kids. We need to have justice for the 3 kids that passed away. And instead of people coming together and saying, okay, this was a terrible, tragic situation, clearly Lindsay was in a crazy mental state, but she did do wrong and she should go to jail, we have people defending Lindsay Clancy. We have women outside of the courthouse cheering for Lindsay Clancy as she goes in. They're all wearing pink for her, and they're raising their hands in this circle formation, almost ironically looking like they're trying to strangle their kids. We have women posting TikToks of them holding their little tiny babies with the caption that says, "Same, Lindsay." What do you mean by that? We have women posting on TikTok videos of them crying and screaming and yelling, throwing ice into a bathtub, which is supposed to get rid of their anger, which, I wonder if that actually works. Here, come on, let's go to my bathroom. There's this new trend on TikTok where moms are deciding to throw ice into their bathtub, trying to get rid of their anger. Now, I'm a social media guy. I love social media, so I decided that I am going to get into the trend. I'm going to start throwing ice into this bathtub, and I'm going to try and release some of my anger that I have. Let's see if it'll work. I feel the same. We used to live in a society where we could call out people like this. For example, Casey Anthony. We all thought that she was the one that killed her child, and more than likely, she was the one that killed her child. If she were to have killed her child today, would these women go and support her? Maybe Casey Anthony had postpartum depression. Or would these women be happy with the not guilty verdict that Casey Anthony got? I also remember that a similar story like this happened in 2007, where professional wrestler Chris Benoit killed his wife and smothered his 7-year-old child with a pillow and then later committed suicide. Now, if Chris Benoit didn't kill himself, would we say, well, he was innocent? Should I make a TikTok where I say, same, Chris? Chris Benoit was on drugs just like Lindsay Clancy was. He was taking testosterone 10 times the legal limit, and he was also on Xanax, an antidepressant. So he must not have been in the right frame of mind, so he must not have done this heinous crime. Probably his astronomical sign was a sun-moon dance or whatever, so he's innocent. He's innocent and his name should be cleared. Chris Benoit isn't a monster, he was just misunderstood, right? He's just misunderstood. No. But Chris Benoit was evil and terrible, and people called him out, and he should still be called out for what he did. And I believe even though he went through a psychotic episode, and if he were to have survived or got arrested before he committed suicide, that he would go to jail for forever, or even the death penalty for what he did. And people, rightfully so, would have seen him as the monster that he was. Just like we should with Lindsay. And I honestly didn't know that not killing your kids was going to be so controversial and cause so much flack. And honestly, sometimes I think Donald Trump needs to get rid of TikTok because these people have gone absolutely insane. But until next time, I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.